exhausted all the time, especially that mid-morning and that mid-afternoon slump, tiredness that just leaves you moody and irritable. You just can't think straight and you can't concentrate. Does that sound like you? Well, there are two top causes. They're both incredibly common and very fixable. So in today's video, we're going to tackle the first one, which is blood sugar levels that are roller coastering, leaving you just sapped of energy, robbing you of joy, and making everything in your life just feel like hard work and a chore. Plus, I'll give you my top tips for learning how to balance out your blood sugar levels so you can get your energy back and start enjoying your day again. And then in next week's video, we'll tackle the second cause, which are exhausted adrenals, which they just make your body under such a terrific strain because you're having to pump out stress hormones at such high levels. And this leaves you exhausted during the day and then just wide awake and wired in the evening, and you can't get to sleep. So firstly, if you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm Fran Penberthy. My training is in nutrition and I love talking about nutritious foods for health. I'm the founder of the Live Well for Good courses, where we ditch that whole dieting mentality and instead nourish ourselves back to a healthy weight, plus improve our health while we're at it. Now, I post new videos every week, so please do go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Also hit the bell so that you are notified for every new video. So let's get into this. Now, blood sugar levels that are roller coastering lead on to serious health conditions, but long before we ever get to that stage, the warning signs are there, with the sugar cravings and the exhaustion and the moodiness. So what's really going on? Well, the fuel that our body runs on is sugar, and more specifically glucose. But what it wants is a nice steady supply through the day to fuel your body cells all day long, giving you energy and an alert mind. And that's shown here by the green undulating line. It's staying within those black lines, which is the nice safe border that the body has for receiving sugar. But if your day is full of sugary foods and drinks or processed foods like white bread, white rice, white pasta, then actually too much sugar arrives in your bloodstream too fast and too much. Now that is incredibly dangerous to the body, and left unchecked is actually life-threatening. So the body has to release a hormone called insulin to grab that glucose out of your bloodstream and get it out quick. Now what it does is it packs it into fat cells because it's much safer there. Now it will always target the fat cells around your middle. And this then makes that mid-riff fat quite hard to shift if you are continuing to eat those sugary foods and drinks or those processed foods. The other thing that will do it is high stress levels that we'll tackle in next week's video. All of this is producing too much sugar in your bloodstream, which insulin is then having to work overtime to keep taking out of the bloodstream. So it's this constant picture of too much sugar in, sugar coming back out. It's an exhausting scenario for the body, but it's continuing because you're not stopping, and so nothing is being switched off. Now, unfortunately, insulin takes too much glucose out of the bloodstream each time, which leaves you plummeting down into a blood sugar low. And that's when you're going to feel those symptoms of tiredness and you can't think straight and you get very ratty. That's when you will then reach for that cup of tea and that chocolate bar, because you know from experience that that will pep you up, give you another burst of energy, and you'll feel fine again. And you will for about an hour or so before insulin then kicks in, does its job, and you are left with that blood sugar low when you're going to just feel exhausted again. This can paint a picture of how your entire day looks, and you can see that here with the red line, which is sharp peaks and troughs. And the peaks are when you get those short bursts of energy, and the troughs are when you feel awful again. Now this scenario is really exhausting for the body, and it will keep going for as long as it can, years at a time. But eventually it cannot keep producing insulin at these kind of high levels, and that's when you then can move into more serious health conditions. So we want to stop this scenario long before you ever reach that point. Now this is very fixable and surprisingly quickly. I've had many clients report improvements within days. You just need to take the specific steps needed to just flatten out that line and stop those peaks and troughs. Now I've put a symptom handout in the description box below so that you can grab that and look through the list of symptoms and see how many actually apply to you, to give you an idea of whether your blood sugar levels at the moment need some fixing. So next, I'll give you my top tips for how to balance out your blood sugar levels. But first, if you're finding this teaching helpful, then please do put a thumbs up in the comments below. So number one, never skip a meal, especially breakfast, because avoiding meals or kickstarting yourself with caffeine is what is setting off that roller coaster to then carry on throughout your day. Number two, make some smart food choices. You need to include protein, fiber and fats into every meal that you have, and also in every snack, because these slow down any natural sugars that there are in those meals and stop them getting into your bloodstream too fast. Number three, start checking the labels on foods. When you look at the nutrients box and it says sugar and gives you a number in grams, every 4 grams equals a teaspoon of sugar. Because a flavoured yogurt might seem like a really healthy choice, but it has nearly 3 teaspoons of sugar in it, which is more than enough to kickstart that insulin response. And a coffee shop drink might seem a very innocent thing, but there is one called a hot mulled fruit drink. Sounds fine, but it has 25 teaspoons of sugar in it. So there is so much hidden sugar. So we need to get savvy to that and start checking the labels. Number 4, when you're baking, stop using just the white processed sugar and instead use some healthy sugar alternatives. The ones I like are stevia and xylitol. With stevia, make sure that is the only thing in the ingredients box, because they often mix it in with other things. So just as long as it's pure stevia or xylitol, they're great alternatives. And because they're so sweet, you only need to use half the amount that the recipe calls for. Now, the great thing about these two is that neither of them actually raise your blood sugar levels, so they are not going to kickstart that insulin response. And actually they don't rot your teeth, so I think they're a great alternative. But remember, sugar is not the enemy. It just needs to be put in its place so it's not dominating your diet and then affecting your health. Because we need to eat a wide range of nutritious foods to get all of those 50 essential nutrients that we need in order to thrive. So if you've enjoyed this video and you've found it helpful, then please hit the like button, give it a thumbs up. Hit the share button, share it with your friends, and please keep those comments coming. I love hearing from you. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do subscribe, and I will see you in next week's video where we look at that second cause of exhaustion, exhausted adrenal glands. I will see you then.